And hello, my little mathematicians. We're going to explore inequalities on page 321 of your textbook. Okay, so if we take a look, it says an inequality is a mathematical sentence that shows the relationship between quantities that are not equal. You can use the symbols in the table to write inequalities that describe quantities with many values. These are the symbols. So this is called a less than, a greater than is less than or equal to, because it has a line underneath, or a greater than or equal to. Okay. And this is kind of a form of an equal sign. So notice how it doesn't just say less than, it says is less than, is greater than, and so on. So this is when you're comparing something like one thing is greater than or less than to something else. Okay, and that's what we're going to work on. Let's first of all just explore when we would use this. A says the lowest temperature ever recorded in Florida was -2 degrees Fahrenheit. Graph this temperature on the number line. Okay, so if we want to graph -2, we would just put a dot at -2. Okay, done. I graphed -2. Then B says the temperature is 0 degrees Fahrenheit, 3 degrees Fahrenheit, 6 degrees Fahrenheit, 5 degrees Fahrenheit, and -1 degrees Fahrenheit have also been recorded in Florida. Graph these temperatures on the number line. Okay, so why don't you go ahead and try to graph those. When you graph those, you just draw a dot at each of those points. So you drew a dot at 0, +3, +6, +5, and -1. Okay, and those were all the temperatures represented in B. The next one says, how do the temperatures in B compare to -2? How can you see this relationship on the number line? Okay, so all of these dots, how do they compare to -2? Well, all the temps or temperatures from B, what would you say, are greater than -2. And notice how they're to the right of -2, and that's how you know that they're greater. Okay, so how many other numbers have the same relationships to -2 as the temperatures in B? So how many other numbers are greater than -2? Give some examples. Okay, and a lot of you guys might make the trap of saying, oh, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other numbers that are also greater than -2, because 1, 2, 7, 8, and 4. Okay, well, is that it? Is that all the numbers that are greater than -2? What about 100? Is 100 greater than -2? Yeah, it's just not on the line, right? All the numbers to the right of -2 are actually greater than it. So there's infinitely many possibilities that you could have written down, right? And so if they ask this question, we don't want to have to give all the examples. We'd spend the rest of our lives writing them down. So when we want to represent any number greater than -2, then we're going to use what's called an inequality, okay? And so if they ask for specific examples, you could say like 1, 2, keep going, 4, 7, 8. Those are the ones that were on here that weren't used. But what about numbers not on the number line? 10, 25, 1,000, 1,000,000, 1,000,000,000, okay, etc. There's so many possibilities you could have listed of numbers that are greater than -2. But suppose you could graph all of these possible answers to D on a number line. What would that look like? And you're like, that would be terrible if I had to draw a dot at each one. No, it's not actually that bad, okay? What you do is here's 0, 1, 2, and then -1, -2. If I want to represent all the numbers that are greater than -2, I would draw a dot at -2, but not including -2, so open, and then all the numbers to the right. If I just draw a line with an arrow like that, that's saying all the numbers greater than -2, but not including it. And so we call that array, okay, because it's a circle with a line pointing or an arrow pointing in one direction. That's what's called array. So array extending to the right of -2, but not including -2. And how we have it not including is we have an open circle. If it was including, then we would have a closed circle. We'd fill it in. Okay, and then it says let X represent all the possible answers to D. Complete this inequality. That's where we'd use one of these symbols. So we would say X is greater than -2. And it's not including that point, so we wouldn't do a line underneath. It's not greater than or equal to, it's just greater than -2. Okay, and that's some of the things that we're going to be exploring in this unit is writing inequalities and graphing them.